Hello, hello, hello. Hi to my sunflower YouTube community. My lighting here is horrid, as usual, especially in this room. It's daylight out, and the lighting is just terrible. So please excuse me for if you're not able to see my face or me properly. I realized days ago something marvelous, something excellent, something spectacular and wonderful took place in Europe, particularly in Germany, which is on June the 2nd, 2016, Germany officially recognized the Armenian Genocide. Now, very symbolic because on June the 2nd, early in the morning, it was like, nighttime where I woke up. I had a dream. I was visited. And I truly believe it was a form of telepathy. Could have been an astral projection from my mother's uncle who's still living. He's in his mid to late 70s, redhead, who lives in Germany. His father was an Armenian genocidal survivor. Her family, her sister, her mother, her brothers, her parents were brutally massacred, and she was only 1.5, 2 years old when she was taken and raised by an Arab merchant who raised her as an Arab and / Turk. And she was tattooed head to toe, brought up as a Muslim and a Jew. And then when she was about 12 years old, she was married off to a Zionist Turkish man. He was about 47 years old, and he was a huge Zionist. So her son, she has a son named Isa, and he moved to Germany when he found out. After he found out, he was 14 years old, what happened, as my great-grandfather, Kurzo the Fedai, found them. And he was 14 years old, and the entire situation made him go through crisis as to why his father would do this to his mother and his mother's side, knowingly. Because knowing that she was a survivor, his district of government organization, the father, the Turkish Zionist father, he was taking orders to have, because he was a form of a general of the empire, the Ottoman Empire. Remember, there was no Turkish culture at the time. Turkish culture was created once the genocide was fully complete, okay? The genocide was fully complete after World War I. There was a genocide before 1915, before World War I. It was the genocide, which has been repeating itself prior to 1915, It was way before, okay? But it was hidden, and not many people were documenting it. Not many people were aware of it. The other places around the world, it was genocide such as this that birthed and allowed Canada and the United States. It's not just the Native Indians, it's not just the Native Americans, and it was not just the Black people who went through genocides, okay? You have to understand this. This talks about the true Israel, the true Israelites. And who are the true Israelites? I always say Armenia is the 13th tribe, the birthplace of the Israelites was in Armenia. It is the milk, it is the mother, the divine mother. Okay, and it is also the 13th tribe, Dan. So the 13th tribe, and it being recognized right now in Germany, okay? So I made a video, Shaman talks about, shares photos on her ancestry on that same day. So telepathically and energetically, I was receiving information, and I felt this nudge because I saw him in my dream that day. That I even mentioned, if you go back to the video, it was literally on June the 2nd where I did do that video. I published it in that fort outdoors in nature, in the woods, and it wasn't until a few days later where I actually found out that the genocide was recognized in Germany. Now, a lot of people may assume that this is for political reasons, and sure enough, yeah, but so is genocide was created for political reasons as well. So, okay. Anyways, so the Ottoman Empire, ISIS' father was a Zionist who created, who had her family massacred, okay, knowingly. And when he found out that the baby girl had, was not killed, who is ISIS' mother, remember she was about a year and a half, 2 years old when the Arab merchant found her near the cliff. She was crying. Her mother was choked to death and thrown off a cliff, like a mountain cliff in the area. Excuse my, it's Sunday. My nephew's home, and his mother doesn't like to take care of him very well, so I don't interfere anymore. I love children. I don't interfere anymore. It's not my duty. So you're gonna have to excuse the crying in the background. So, yeah, that's the story with that. And when he found out that she was alive after 12 years, after 10 years, where the Arab merchant, you know, because they do put them up, what they're selling, okay? Especially because she was a virgin, the Arab never touched her because there's more money, okay? If you're blonde, if you have gold hair, colored eyes, and light-skinned in Arab Muslim countries, you're considered more highly worth. You have a higher worth. Okay, so he paid triple the amount that he was selling her for, okay, and knowing whose daughter she was, and he married her, and he admitted to Isa, his son, 14-year-old son, everything, all of it. He said, I did this to your mother and her mother's family, knowing this. So he grew up, he moved to Germany, he married a German woman. He's still in Germany. His family's all in Germany. They basically gave birth to, you know, if you've ever heard of the Armenian Asala, ASALA, please do research on them. In Europe, they were known to be so-called terrorists. They were not terrorists. Okay. This is older than Armenian power in the youth in the California, United States, and New Jersey. That's older. Yes, my family was involved in that, including my mom's brothers, okay? And I'm only talking about this because it's over. It's over and done with. Even the governments know about this of my family, and everything's been unfolded, and it's complete. It's done, okay? So, thanks, Germany, for recognition. Thank you to my mom's uncle for connecting with me. I'm sorry about that. His screams are terrible. He just wants cookies, and that's how he is in the mornings. It's like 7 in the morning, and that's all he wants to eat. And unfortunately, his mother doesn't discipline him. So, yeah. I want to make this a longer video. I just don't like when babies are crying. It's a weakness. I don't like when children... I feel for them. So, yeah, I'm having a coffee with my owls, and it's the, what is it? It's see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. You know, the wise wisdom, the wise words of the owl. Owls are very wise. So, yeah. Oh, and I got this scarf yesterday. Headpiece. Do you see the 6-pointed star? Isn't that amazing? So this is actually funded for the, it's like a donation donated type of thing for Women's Support Foundation of all of Canada, okay? So a portion of the chunk goes straight as a donation to like people who purchase these products. A chunk of it goes straight to the Women's Foundation of Canada. Like it goes all across shelters, supports women who have children that they cannot, whether they're single, whether they're not single, who cannot provide for them, like they don't have enough finances. Again, these are like very heartfelt feelings and emotions that come for me. I myself don't have children of my own, but I do have a nephew and I do have a niece. And coming from a background where my sister-in-law, my sister, and who has another son of her own, and my mom, you know, they all have mental health and mental learning development disabilities mentally. And it's been very difficult for them to raise children, even though they all have husbands and stuff. My mother, you know, she lost her husband and now she's with someone else, but it's been very difficult for them. And although I can come here and complain and for what I've had to endure, taking care of the kids and all that stuff, at the end of the day, I come, you know, I'm still their family. And I've always felt the duty that I should, you know, as someone who is healthy, body, mind, and soul, knock on wood, it is my duty to take care of situations. Although it's reached a point where now they're able to, you know, they're capable of doing things because they've learned, or it's time for them to take responsibility. You know, I have to step back because at the end of the day, there has to be a boundary, right? They're not my kids. I'm the aunt. And there has to be a boundary because I have to grow. I have to do my work. People need me. I have to get paid. I have to pay for food. I have to, you know what I mean? So that moves forward. So again, not to talk about my personal life, but going back to the recognition of the Armenian Genocide in Germany, there's a lot of politics going on in the country is Turkey right now, as you know. Go back and watch the Armenian Genocide video that I posted up in April. Please watch my videos, guys. There's a lot of prophecies that come out of my mouth. And as you know, if you've been a follower of my channel or of my work for a while, or if you've known me on a personal level, you have known that whatever I say, whatever comes out of me, comes to life. Okay, guys? If you're a client or if you've known me on a personal level, people are terrified of me because whatever I say comes to life. And that's why someone who has a power animal, I have owl as my power animal. If you can see, I've got like a heart and a key here with a baby owl. It's my power animal, and we don't speak unless we have prophecies that need to come out, and we're not dumb with words because we know how it affects people. Sound is powerful, okay? So thank you for watching, Germany. Thank you for the recognition. Thank you for my family. Thank you for my uncle, my mom's uncle, for contacting me. Thank you for speaking to me. I love you all. I will be connecting with him and his family and so on. And the rest of the world needs to learn about the genocide, the Armenian Genocide, to really understand what's going on with the government and what they're planning and what they have been doing without your knowledge, okay? So get educated, guys. Learn. None of us are really separated. And for me, to get into cultures and things of that nature, it was really hard. It was very difficult for me in high school and elementary school because I was labeled as white, then I was labeled as Middle Eastern, then I was labeled as Asian. I was labeled as everything. And Armenian is basically a race of its own because Armenian is a mixed race. We're not just white, we're not just dark, we're not just this, we're not just that, okay? We have our own distinct DNA. And that is because of multiple different reasons, and we are a very ancient people, okay? So it really is the other way around, where the world was emerged and rebirthed by us, okay? So please stop stealing our heritage and stop stealing our knowledge. And a lot of Armenians have created, it was an Armenian that created color TV. It was an Armenian that created plastic surgery. It was an Armenian that created x-rays. It was an Armenian that created mathematical formulations. Albert Einstein was a thief. And there is Jews who actually have done dedicated research on Albert Einstein that found out that he was a thief, in fact. A lot of civilizations have come from Armenians. The Turkish culture is copyright stolen from Armenians. The food, yogurt, was created by an Armenian, not a Turkish. Turkish delight was created by an Armenian. Turkish music, orchestras, a lot of things in this world were created by Armenians, but you never hear that it was created by an Armenian. And unfortunately, the only thing that you hear that goes down in history, written down, because we can see it through cameras now, is that's your life. But, and I'm talking about the Kardashians, okay? Just because she's doing that, she has done that. She's made a living off of herself. But we do have high intelligence, okay? We always have. We've been very solid, very stable, very strong survivors. And it doesn't look like it's going to end here, okay? We're going to keep going on. And like I said, and like other Armenians have said, this Armenian race will never die. When two Armenians ever meet on this face of this planet, we will continue and we will create a new Armenia, okay? So thank you for hating. Because the more you hate, the more energy, the more power you give. And the six-pointed star is very dominant in Armenian heritage, in Armenian ancient culture, okay? So please don't ever say that we have stolen it. Do your education, do your work, okay? Because Armenians have always been a mixed race. We have ancient origin black DNA, and we have ancient origin red-headed, freckled, white-skinned DNA. And we can't say that we're one or the other, but we are a mix of both, because Armenia was an ancient tribal people that mixed, okay? And you may find people that are still existing, which we aren't many Armenians left in this world to begin with, okay? We aren't. There still is forms of us existent. You got to also look at the genocidal survivors, okay? Some Armenians that are genocidal survivors from the Ottoman Empire times that look more native than the natives. And I'm talking about Native Americas, okay? They look native, very native. But you have to also understand that dominance, right? One kid can come out more dominant looking of white, light-eyed, red-headed, whatever, and then another kid can come out, and there are breeds of each looking one, okay? So there is actually here in Canada, there are a few actually Africans that consider themselves Armenian. Like, they know the Armenian language, okay? They consider themselves Armenian, and I'm not going to tell their story. Maybe if you are able to find history on them or do research on them, you know, they have said, they've come out, they've said a lot, okay? And they've, you know, took on the heritage because they wanted to learn about themselves and such, okay? So that's not me to judge. That's for you to do your own research. If you can find it, that's great. But again, I had such a difficult time in high school because I was very strong. I was very empowered. I didn't fit with the white group. And although the only white people in my high school were Italian, I did not fit with them either, because I still am different than them. I was raised different. I wasn't raised spoiled. I was raised with my mom telling me that Satan's gonna get me if I don't listen to her, or like, even if I did listen to her, she was very, very, very strict. And you know, it was always about, if this, then she'd slam my head against the wall and rip my hair into pieces until I bleed to the ground. And it's, you know, I would get frequent nosebleeds because she'd always curse me out, and she'd get happy. She'd be like, good, you deserve it. You flippin' deserve it. And she'd be like, you came out of my ass. Your life belongs to me. Okay? Get no Italian when nobody understood that. Okay? So it was very difficult. So there were black people, there were Africans and Jamaicans in my high school. And a lot of them came to me and they wanted to understand where I was coming from. Not that I spoke about what I was going through, but they wanted to understand me, because at first, some of them apparently had beef with me because they were like, who does she think she is? Is she black? Which, it's not like I was around black people or anything of like that. I guess it was maybe the way I carried myself and talked, because I talk very empowered and I have a strong voice. So, you know, they got to know me and they gave me a lot of respect because I talked about the genocide and I talked about what the Armenian heritage was, and they didn't know what it was. And they told me the only thing they knew were about white Canadian people, which there weren't many in my high school. The only ones were Italian. or these WAPs, they used to call them WAPs, these Italians, and none of these Italians knew what their heritage anyways. So here I was talking about my heritage, rich in my heritage, which I am very grateful. Thank you, God, that I have been chosen to be planted on earth as an Armenian, as a genocidal survivor, coming forth, being born in this family as a genocidal survivor, being planted in this family to heal and to break barriers, okay? I've been breaking patterns of this ancestry since I was born. I took on this mission to break these patterns so that the future generations of my family can proceed, be healthy, be educated, teach about what has been done to us, teach about the kingdoms that we have lost, the royal heritage that we have lost due to jealousy and greed, okay, that I was born into, that my family was born into, and why this mental health has taken over my family, okay? So I am very lucky and I'm very appreciative of this. And I will always be very, very proud to be an Armenian, above and beyond, okay? I may be born in Canada, but I have a rich culture and I will continue to educate. I will continue to speak my mother Western Armenian tongue. And I will continue to educate other people on who I am, my culture, and where my ancestry comes from, okay? So thank you for watching. And again, thanks for recognizing the genocide.